Chapter 17. Hell Unleashed. January 7th, Tuesday. The morning air outside felt crisp against my skin as I stepped out onto the patio with a steaming cup of coffee. I hadn't slept much, maybe a few fleeting moments of unconsciousness before the weight of everything dragged me back into wakefulness. The countdown ticked away in my head like a bomb waiting to go off. I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the quiet of the early hours. Birds chirped somewhere in the canyon, oblivious to the chaos brewing beneath the surface. Garrett approached me from his post by the driveway, his black tactical uniform blending into the pre-dawn shadows. "Morning, Mr. Arashi," he greeted, his voice calm and measured as always. "Morning, Garrett." "Any updates from last night?" I asked, keeping my tone steady. He gave a slight nod, his expression as unreadable as ever. "Nothing to report. My team stayed up all night watching the perimeter. No unusual activity. Everything's secure." I nodded, forcing myself to relax slightly. "Good. Thanks, Garrett." He tipped his head and returned to his patrol. Despite his professionalism, there was something in the way he moved, calculated, almost rehearsed, that gnawed at the edge of my mind. I brushed the thought aside. This wasn't the time to second-guess the people I'd hired to protect my family. By the time the rest of the house woke up, it was just past 8 a.m. We decided to have breakfast outside by the pool, an attempt to bring some semblance of normalcy to an otherwise surreal situation. The sky above Malibu Canyon was clear and blue, the kind of day that made it hard to believe there was someone out there who wanted to destroy everything I'd built. As we sat around the table, the countdown loomed over every bite of food. 2 hours left. Jenna kept glancing at her watch, while Mark's eyes darted between his phone and the driveway. My mom quietly fussed over the spread, her hands trembling slightly as she poured coffee for everyone. My dad sat beside her, his presence steady and reassuring, even though I could see the tension in his jaw. Garrett joined us briefly, standing at a respectful distance. He cleared his throat. "Mr. Arashi," he began. "I know you're set on not giving in to the blackmailer's demands, but as a precaution, it might be wise to have Plan B ready." I set my coffee cup down with more force than I intended, the sound cutting through the tense silence. "Garrett," I said firmly, "paying them is not an option. That's exactly what they want. If I give in now, they'll keep coming back, and they'll escalate." Garrett nodded, but I didn't miss the flicker of something in his eyes. Doubt, maybe? Concern? It was subtle, but Mark caught it too. "Understood," Garrett said, stepping back into the shadows. By 9 a.m., the tension was palpable. Everyone had fallen into a tense rhythm of preparation. Jenna and Mark had coordinated with the legal team we'd hired the day before, giving them a heads up about the anticipated strike. Garrett's team was on high alert, their earpieces crackling with updates as they monitored the property from every angle. Mark, however, seemed distracted. I noticed him watching Garrett closely. When Garrett stepped away to check on his team, Mark leaned in close to me. "Kaito," he whispered, "are you absolutely sure about these guys?" I frowned. "I did my homework, Mark. Garrett's team has been in the business for almost a decade. I even reached out to their past clients. They came highly recommended." Mark didn't look convinced. "Yeah, but something feels off. After that call with the legal team, he seemed..." Mark hesitated, searching for the right word. "Nervous." Before I could respond, he added, "I also reached out to law enforcement just in case." My heart sank. "Mark, we need to be careful who we involve. The blackmailer could have connections anywhere." "Don't worry," he said quickly, holding up a hand. "I didn't give them any details." "But Kaito? They already knew." "What?" I blinked, caught off guard. Mark leaned closer. "The FBI? They've been involved in this case long before your house was burned down. Apparently, they were already investigating a suspect tied to money laundering. That's what put them on the trail, not the fires." The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. "How do they know about me?" Mark shook his head. "They wouldn't say, but they were certain this blackmailer's been on their radar for months. And Kaito, they think this guy's part of a bigger operation." I took a deep breath, trying to process what Mark had just told me. If the FBI was involved, this wasn't just a personal vendetta. It was something far more dangerous. The minutes ticked by, each one heavier than the last. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that the blackmailer was out there somewhere, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The last hour before their supposed move had begun, and every instinct I had told me to stay on high alert. The question was no longer if they would strike, it was when and how. January 7th, Tuesday. Past 10 a.m. The clock ticked past the dreaded 10 a.m. deadline, and still, nothing had happened. The house was eerily quiet, save for the occasional crackle of the security team's earpieces. It felt like the first time in days that I could breathe without feeling like my chest was being crushed. "They missed their chance," Jenna muttered, pacing the length of the living room. "If they were going to strike, it would have been now." "Don't get too comfortable," my dad warned, his voice low. "This kind of enemy doesn't back down. They'll come, just when we think it's over." His words hung in the air as we moved to the balcony on the second floor. From there, we could see the vast expanse of Malibu Canyon, the city line shimmering in the distance. For a moment, it felt like we were far removed from all the chaos, until we saw it. At first, it was a faint glow on the eastern horizon, but within seconds it grew brighter, a fiery red-orange stain on the sky. It looked surreal, like the end of the world painted across the heavens. "What the hell is that?" Jenna gasped, her voice trembling. Mark's eyes widened as he gripped the railing. "What the hell is going on?" he muttered, his voice barely audible. None of us had an answer. My stomach dropped as dread clawed its way up my throat. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the sky, now ablaze with a light that seemed to mock us. We scrambled back inside, switching on the television. The news anchor's voice was frantic, words spilling out in a torrent of urgency. "Breaking news from Pacific Palisades. An enormous fire has broken out, engulfing several neighborhoods. Authorities are struggling to contain the flames as they spread rapidly, fanned by strong winds. Evacuations are underway, but residents are urged to flee immediately." Firefighters described the situation as unprecedented. The screen showed footage of roaring flames swallowing homes, black smoke towering into the sky. It was chaos. People running, cars jammed in traffic as residents tried to escape. My mom collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. "Oh God. All those people, those families." Jenna's voice was tight with fury as she paced back and forth. "We should have seen this coming. The blackmailer knew exactly what to do. It's not just about destroying Arashi Insurance, it's about creating a liability so massive, so catastrophic, that it takes everything down with it. It's not damn business I'm worried about," I snapped, slamming my fist on the table. "People are dying out there. This isn't just about me anymore, this is terrorism." My dad placed a hand on my shoulder, his grip firm but steady. "We'll handle this, Kaito. We'll find a way." I wasn't sure if he was trying to convince me or himself. The sound of engines brought us all to a halt. From the balcony, we saw a convoy of black SUVs winding their way up the hill toward the house. "Shit," Mark muttered, his face pale. I rushed to Garrett, who was stationed near the entrance. "Garrett, we've got company." "Who the hell are they?" He tilted his head slightly, listening to his earpiece. "Unknown vehicles approaching. Stay inside, Mr. Arashi. My team will handle it." But as the convoy rolled closer, unease prickled at the back of my neck. The security team, who had been so vigilant up to this point, weren't doing anything. No one moved to block the gate or stop the cars. "What the fuck is going on?" I barked, turning to Garrett. "Why aren't your men stopping them?" Garrett didn't answer immediately. Instead, he glanced at me, his expression unreadable. "Stay calm, Mr. Arashi. Let's see what they want first." "Let's see what they want," I repeated, incredulous. "Are you serious right now? Those could be the blackmailer's men." My dad stepped in, his tone sharp. "Garrett, if you're not going to do your job, then get out of the way." Garrett raised his hand slightly, a gesture meant to reassure us. "Trust me, sir. My team has this under control." But there was no trust left. Not when I saw the SUVs pulling into the driveway, their engines rumbling like some dark omen. Mark leaned close to me, his voice barely above a whisper. "Kaito, something's off. Your security team, they're not reacting the way they should." I didn't need him to tell me that. My gut was already screaming the same thing. As the first SUV door opened, I clenched my fists, my pulse hammering in my ears. Whoever stepped out of those vehicles, I knew one thing. This was far from over. January 7th, Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. The SUV doors opened, and out stepped a face I hadn't seen in years but could never forget. Toru Matsumoto. The smirk on his face was as venomous as it was familiar, dragging me back to a part of my life I'd buried deep. "Hi, brother. Remember me?" he said casually, like we were old friends meeting at a reunion. Jenna's head snapped toward me, her voice sharp with disbelief. "Kaito, do you know this man?" I swallowed hard, my fists clenching at my sides. "Yeah, he's from my past, back in Japan. He's part of a gang I got mixed up with as a kid. Dangerous people. I left that life years ago, but I guess they didn't leave me." Toru laughed, his voice a mix of amusement and malice. "Oh, don't undersell it, Kaito. We were family, blood brothers in the streets of Shirakawa-go. And then you left, faked your death, betrayed us." I stared him down, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you want, Toru?" Toru spread his arms wide, like he was about to embrace me. "Come on over, brother. It's been a long time and we've got so much to catch up on." From behind me, my dad's voice was firm. "Kaito, don't fall for it." Toru turned his sharp gaze to my father, his smirk widening. "Ah, if it isn't old man Hiroshi, still trying to play the wise protector, huh? I see you're just as stubborn as ever." The situation spiraled faster than I could process. Garrett, who had been standing silent until now, stepped toward my mom. "We trusted you," she cried, her voice breaking. "Shame on you." What happened next was like a nightmare. Garrett slapped her hard, sending her stumbling to the ground. The crack of his palm against her cheek echoed like thunder in my ears. "Shut your mouth, old lady," Garrett snarled. I saw red. Before I even thought, my body moved. My fist connected with his jaw in a sickening crunch, and he crumpled like a rag doll. The moment felt satisfying for a split second, until the other members of his team raised their weapons, guns trained on all of us. "Don't fucking move," one of them barked. Jenna, her voice trembling with rage, spat at the men. "You're all cowards. You don't work for justice, you serve the devil." Toru clapped slowly, mocking the chaos. "Well, this is getting entertaining, isn't it? Kaito, Kaito, Kaito. All you had to do was send the money. This didn't have to happen." I glared at him, my voice full of fury. "Why are you doing this, Toru?" His smirk dropped, replaced with a look of cold hatred. "You don't get to ask questions. After you faked your death, after Kuji and Kenji were killed, and after you exposed our entire operation to the Narcotics Control Division, you didn't think we'd let that slide, did you? You ruined us, Kaito. And now we're gonna ruin you." I shook my head, my voice rising. "I didn't kill Kuji and Kenji. They got themselves killed dealing with the wrong people. And Toru, if you don't stop this, you'll end up the same way." Toru's response was swift. He slapped me across the face, hard enough to sting, then leaned in close, his breath hot and rancid. "Brother, I'm not gonna die. You are, and your family." I stared him down, my jaw tightening. "Don't you dare involve my family in this." Toru straightened and snapped his fingers. "Tie them up." As the security team moved to bind us, another SUV door opened. A tall, imposing figure stepped out, his polished shoes clicking against the driveway. He was older, with a commanding presence and an aura that screamed power. "Everything's clear and secure," one of the guards called out. The man stepped closer, his dark eyes scanning us like we were nothing more than insects. His expression was calm, almost indifferent, but there was a chilling menace in his every move. Toru turned to him with a grin. "Boss, glad you came out to watch." The man nodded once, his voice smooth and deliberate. "I wouldn't miss it. After all, Kaito and I have unfinished business." My heart sank as his gaze locked onto mine. This wasn't just about revenge, it was personal. Whatever was about to happen next, I knew one thing. This man was the one pulling all the strings. And he wouldn't stop until everything I cared about was in ashes. The cold January air bit into my skin as I faced the man stepping out of the SUV. He moved with unnerving precision, his presence commanding silence. His eyes, sharp and cold as ice, locked onto mine. I broke the tension with the question burning in my throat. "Who are you?" The man smirked, as though he'd been waiting for me to ask. "Hello, Kaito." Where are my manners? I am Shiro Kaito. The name sent a jolt through me. Shiro Kaito. I'd heard it whispered in dark alleys and backroom dealings. A man whose reach extended far beyond what anyone could measure. This wasn't just another gang leader. He was the kingpin. What do you want from me? I asked. His smirk faded, replaced by something colder. I came to watch you pay the price for the damage you caused to my business in Japan. I shook my head, baffled. What did I ever do to you? Shiro took a step closer, his tone even, yet brimming with venom. You cost me everything, Kaito. Before the NCD came after us, we were thriving. No chaos, no bloodshed, just business. All I wanted was to sell our medicine to those who needed it. That was all. Medicine? I snapped, anger boiling in my chest. You mean the poison you've been pushing on people? The addiction and destruction you've spread? Shiro's eyes darkened. No, Kaito. I was giving them life. You, however, took everything from me. Remember the incident at the airport? That brought the NCD straight to my doorstep. My empire burned because of your recklessness. Before I could respond, Toru stepped forward with a silver case. He opened it with a flourish, revealing a series of glass vials filled with the shimmering blue liquid. Toru's grin was wide, almost childlike. Brother, remember this? Your medicine. Just one vial, and all your pain will wash away. I stared at the vials, my stomach twisting. Blue mist. The same drug they gave me back in Japan. The same drug that is killing thousands of people. And now it was here in front of me, like a specter from my darkest days. The guards were tying my parents, Mark and Jenna, with ropes, ignoring their cries and protests. Suddenly, Toru's eyes locked onto Jenna. Wait, he said, holding up a hand. Don't tie her. She's mine. My blood ran cold as I saw him grab one of the vials and lean toward Jenna. He tilted her head back, ignoring her struggles, and poured the blue liquid over her nose and mouth. She coughed and gasped, breathing it in despite herself. Jenna? I shouted, straining against the guard holding me back. The effects were immediate. Her body went limp, her eyes wide with a mix of terror and confusion. She was trapped in her own mind, hallucinating and paralyzed. Toru lifted her into his arms with a sick grin. I'm gonna take my time with you, he whispered. Stop this. Mark yelled, thrashing against his restraints. But the guards only held him tighter. I turned to Shiro, my voice shaking with desperation. Shiro, please, let them go. It's me you want, not them. I'll surrender. Just let them go. Shiro raised a hand, signaling the guards to stop. His expression was unreadable. You're willing to give yourself up to save them? Yes, I said firmly, my voice breaking. I'll do whatever you want. Just let them go. Shiro's lips curved into a cruel smile. Very well, Kaito. Let's make this simple. Take one vial, and I'll let your family go. No tricks, no lies. No, Kaito, my dad shouted, his voice filled with anguish. He's lying. Don't do it. I looked at my dad, then at my mom, tears streaming down her face. Get out of here and run, I said softly. Shiro turned to the guards. Release them. My parents stumbled in the house as they went through it and out towards the driveway, sobbing as they glanced back at me. My dad's voice cracked as he called out, Kaito, no! I forced a smile, the world spinning around me. It's okay. Just go. Get out of here. Shiro gestured to one of the guards, who grabbed a vial and approached me. He held my head back, forcing my mouth open. I didn't resist. Good boy, Shiro said mockingly. The liquid burned as it slid down my throat. The same exact feeling I felt years ago when they gave it to me. My vision blurred almost immediately as the haze took over, my limbs feeling heavy. My legs buckled, and I collapsed to the ground. Shiro's laughter echoed in my ears as the drug took hold, pulling me into darkness. The drug coursed through my veins like molten fire, numbing my body and clouding my vision. I lay sprawled on the cold stone of the backyard, half conscious and utterly helpless. The laughter of Shiro Kaito echoed in my ears, a cruel, mocking sound that seemed to reverberate in my very soul. Through the haze, I saw them, my parents, running toward the driveway, their desperation etched into every movement. My heart clenched. They were so close to escaping. But then Shiro's voice rang out, cutting through the chaos. Bring them back. The guards moved like shadows, swift and merciless, their boots pounding against the ground as they pursued my parents. I tried to move, to shout, but the drug had stolen my strength. All I could do was watch in horror. "No," I managed to croak, my voice barely audible. "We made a deal. Please, just let them go." Shiro crouched beside me, his face inches from mine. His smile was venomous, his eyes gleaming with malice. "A deal? Oh, Kaito? Did you really think I was a man of honor?" "That's adorable." I could only watch as my parents were dragged back toward the backyard, their faces pale with fear. Guns were trained on them, forcing them to walk step by agonizing step. My mom was sobbing, her cries tearing through the air like shattered glass. My dad's face was a mask of defiance, his jaw clenched tight, but I could see the fear in his eyes. "Mom! Dad!" I screamed, but my voice came out as a hoarse whisper. Mark was being beaten nearby, his face bloodied as he struggled against his restraints. His muffled cries of pain added to the cacophony. Shiro stood, his laughter resonating as if he were conducting a symphony of despair. "Kaito, let's watch the show, shall we?" The guards forced my mom to the ground, tying her hands behind her back as she screamed. One of them stepped forward with a metal canister, its contents sloshing ominously. "Gasoline." "Stop," I shouted, my voice cracking with desperation. "Please, don't do this." The acrid smell of gasoline filled the air as the liquid was poured over my mom. Her cries grew louder, raw with terror. My dad struggled against his captors, his voice breaking as he shouted, "No, leave her alone." Shiro clapped his hands slowly, mockingly. "Ah, the bonds of family. So touching. Don't you agree, Kaito? There's something poetic about making you watch them suffer." "Please," I begged, tears streaming down my face. "Don't hurt them. Just take me instead." But Shiro only laughed, his voice cold and unyielding. And then, in an explosion of movement, my dad acted. With a guttural roar, he shoved the guards restraining him, his strength born of sheer desperation. Before they could react, he bolted toward the living area, his footsteps thundering against the floor. Shiro raised an eyebrow, intrigued rather than alarmed. "Oh? What's the old man up to?" I turned my head with what little strength I had, my vision swimming. As soon as I saw it, Dad emerged, wielding the katana that had been displayed on the wall. The relic we kept. The blade gleamed in the dim light, a flash of silver that cut through the suffocating darkness. "Temera, jaizu ni toshi shite miro, Buffus," my dad roared, charging toward the guards. The first guard didn't even have time to raise his weapon before my dad struck, the katana slicing through him with a sickening ease. Blood sprayed across the patio, staining the pristine stone. "Dad!" I choked out, a surge of hope and terror flooding me. The other guards moved in, their guns aimed, but my dad was relentless. He swung the blade with precision, years of training from his youth coming back to him in this desperate moment. Another guard fell, clutching his chest as crimson spread across his uniform. Shiro watched, an amused smile playing on his lips. "Well, this just got interesting." "Run, Kaito," my dad shouted, his voice fierce and unwavering. "Protect your mother." But Dad didn't know about how bad the drug affected me. Tears blurred my vision as I watched him fight, a lone warrior against insurmountable odds. The katana sang as it cut through the air, a testament to his unyielding spirit. "Shoot him!" Shiro then shouted, panic edging his voice. The remaining guards opened fire, and Dad caught several bullets around his body. But Dad continued to fight despite all the bullets he took. He managed to kill several more guards before falling on his knees as blood spilled out of his mouth. "Dad, no!" I screamed, forcing my body to move, but the drug held me down like chains. The sound of my dad's body hitting the ground was like a hammer striking my soul. He lay there motionless, blood pooling beneath him as the guards stepped back, their guns still raised. My chest burned. Not just from the drug coursing through me, but from the sheer helplessness that gripped me. Shiro began clapping, his slow, deliberate applause cutting through the heavy silence. "What a show!" he exclaimed, his voice dripping with mockery. "Bravo, Hiroshi. Bravo. You died with honor, as expected of a samurai." I wanted to scream to curse him, but the drug's grip held me down. My body felt like it was encased in lead, every attempt to move sending waves of fire through my veins. Then one of the guards came running out from inside the house, his face lit with excitement. "Boss." "We found the cache." Shiro's eyes gleamed with delight as he crouched beside me, his face so close I could see the cold amusement in his gaze. "Oh, Kaito," he said with a cruel smile. "Would you look at that? A win-win for me. You lose your family and your fortune. Life is funny that way, isn't it?" A cold dread settled in my chest as I realized what had happened. The hidden room, the one where I'd stashed $80 million in cash, my last desperate attempt to secure a safety net, had been found. "You got what you wanted already," I spat through gritted teeth, forcing the words out despite the fog clouding my mind. "Now leave us alone." Shiro's smile widened. "Oh, Kaito, the party has just started." He stood and turned to his guards. "Spread the gasoline around the house. Let's give Kaito a proper send-off." "No," I screamed, the sound ripping from my throat with a raw desperation. My body trembled as I fought against the paralysis, willing myself to move. The guards began their grim task, pouring gasoline across the furniture, the walls, and the floors. The acrid smell of fuel filled the air, mingling with the coppery tang of blood. I forced myself up facing Shiro. Then he noticed my struggles and crouched beside me again. "Oh, a warrior, huh?" I've never seen anyone rise up like that after the drug took over, pulling out another glass vial of that cursed blue liquid, the blue mist. He held it up, the shimmering contents catching the light. "Relax, Kaito. It'll be all over very soon. Here, just take one more." I watched the liquid swirl in the vial, its glow almost hypnotic. My mom's screams from behind snapped me back to reality, and I turned my head to see her struggling as the guards had already lit the fire on her. Mark was lying nearby, battered and bruised, shouting hoarse protests. "No!" I shouted again, the word tearing from me like a war cry. My body trembled as I summoned every ounce of strength left in me. Shiro leaned in closer, tilting the vial toward my mouth. And then I moved. My hand shot up with a speed I didn't know I still possessed, grabbing the vial from Shiro's hand. In one swift motion, I smashed it against his face. The glass shattered, the liquid spraying everywhere. Shiro stumbled back, clutching his face as the blue mist seeped into his skin and nose. He inhaled sharply, his own drug taking hold of him. Blood streamed down his face from the shards embedded in his skin. His laughter turned into a choked scream as the effects of the drug hit him full force. "Kill him!" Shiro shouted, his voice ragged and panicked. The guards moved toward me, but I was already running. My body screamed in protest, the drug still weighing me down, but adrenaline pushed me forward. The flames had started spreading onto Mom, licking on the edges of the patio. Without thinking, I reached my mom, her terrified eyes meeting mine as I plunged her into the pool. The cold water shocked my system, momentarily clearing the haze in my mind and extinguishing the fire on Mom's body. I held my mom close as she sobbed against my chest. "Mom, I've got you," I whispered, my voice shaking. "I've got you." Above the crackling flames and the chaos, the wail of sirens pierced the air. The police were finally here. It took them forever to find the place. I looked at Mark and told him to go get Jenna from inside before the fire gets to her. Mark then went running towards the room where Jenna was raped, carrying her out into the backyard where we stayed beside the pool. "Mark, check her pulse," I told Mark. "She's okay. She's okay," Mark replied. The guards hesitated, looking toward Shiro for direction. Shiro, still reeling from the effects of his own drug, stumbled backward, barking incoherent orders. Toru and the remaining guards grabbed the bags of cash and began retreating toward their vehicles, dragging Shiro with them. "Let's go," Toru shouted, his voice filled with urgency. Shiro glared at me one last time, his face a mask of fury and humiliation. "This isn't over, Kaito," he spat before being shoved into an SUV. The vehicles sped away, tires screeching as they fled the scene. The fire continued to rage, but the police and firefighters swarmed the property, their shouts filling the air as they worked to contain the flames. I pulled myself out of the pool, my mom clinging to me as we stumbled toward safety. I collapsed onto the grass, my chest heaving as I stared up at the smoke-filled sky. They were gone. Shiro, Toru, and the money. They were gone. But Mom, Mark, and Jenna were still alive.